Hello and welcome to another episode. If my feet could talk, I'm the ultra running Matt Lowe, but mainly known as Owen. Um, if you're the first time of listening or viewing this podcast, welcome. I'm glad you're able to join us. If you're returning and you're an avid listener or watcher, then thank you for coming back. The podcast has exceeded all my expectations since I started this up last year, and to be honest, the support and kind words was very humbling. And I can't thank you all enough. But please don't stop sharing, share it, listening, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, excuse me, I need a drink here. I've not long got back from my run, you see, so I'm literally straight in the shower and got myself sorted for this. And so I have to apologise a minute while I still sort of catch my breath. But anyway, a little catch up with myself. Instead, I've just got back from a run. We're still in lockdown 3.0. I'm on my run streak day 222 today. And this weekend coming, I should have been racing the Arc of Attrition 100 miler, as I said in my last podcast with Claire. She should have been, we found out pretty much not long after Christmas that it got cancelled. Now, normally it wouldn't bother me too much. A lot of the races have been cancelled over the last year or so. Last year I only got to race 3 times in total. But since I put a lot of training in for the Arc of Attrition over the last year, because I wanted to make sure I was in a better place than I was back in 2019, and I want to make sure I put in a better performance than I did in 2019 and not cock it up as spectacularly as I did. It upset me a little bit yesterday, and it dawned on me that it was this weekend, and I should have been, seeing friends, seeing family, because I would have stayed at my parents'. I would have seen. That's the main thing about it is I would have got to be on the start line with friends. I would have seen them. Okay, I might not have been able to hug them this time around, but I would have been able to race with them. Obviously, my wife would be crewing me, and the friends from the UK and around the world that were turning up. So I'm going to miss it. And yeah, I did shed a tear. I'm not going to lie. I am only human. I do have my ups and downs, and this was one of them. So yeah, it did leave me with a tear. But that's life. I'm happy and thankful for what I do have. I'm able to still go for a run every day. I'm still working. I've still got a house over my head. And that's the most important thing. We're still good and we're still healthy. So we are thankful. There's obviously people worse off than me, so I can't grumble too much. But that's enough about me. So, as you know, over the last 2 seasons and the first couple episodes of season 3, which we're in now, we've had amazing guests. I mean, proper amazing guests, and they're all amazing in their own right. They've all had their own stories of various things. What I believe the reason why they're amazing, for what they've achieved and where they come from and what they've done. And today's guest is no different. His feet have definitely got some stories to tell. And I first sort of got to know him through the Run Strong Club, Coach Gary House's group. When I asked the question to everyone why they run, and he was one that answered. And I'm sure my listeners and viewers out there are going to enjoy this. So, listeners, viewers, I give you Toby Fells. And we are recording. Hello and welcome to the podcast, Toby. How you doing, mate? All right?
I'm all right, thank you. Yourself?
Yes, I'm very well. As I was just telling you before we went on air, I've not long got back from a run with the pups. So yeah, all well on my end. Horrible weather down here. What's the weather like up your end?
It was pissing it down in rain this morning.
Excellent.
So yeah, I had a run in the rain this morning.
That makes me bloody happy. You know that. I'm fed up with seeing yours and Gary's bloody snow pictures and videos.
Yeah, the snow's been washed away pretty much. Yeah, there might be some on the very tops, but I doubt it. I think the freezing level is above the summits at the moment.
The first signs of springs are coming through by the looks of other people.
Yesterday it was 9 degrees and I was really pissed off about it.
Yeah, because obviously we'll go into it. You're not a warm weather man. You're a cold person. You prefer the cold, which is
when it starts getting above 9 degrees. You know, anything 10 upwards, I'm pissed off. Yeah,
you have to start doing a few night nude runs or something so you can keep cold. No one can see you. So obviously we're still in lockdown 3, and I've tried not to talk to a lot on my podcast about lockdown because it's not about lockdown, but just how has lockdown been treating you for you and your family and your dogs and stuff? Has it been all right?
My life hasn't really changed a great deal, really. I'm a bit of a loner. That makes me sound really sad and pathetic. I quite like being a loner though. Yeah, it's by choice. And so I'm quite happy. I like that everyone else has been forced to slow down. It makes the world just a lot calmer and quieter, and I like that. And I've had the Lake District to myself pretty much for these.
Yeah,
lockdowns.
that's got to be one of the perks of this lockdown.
Really special. I should think it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, you know, going up in the mountains and not seeing anyone and having them practically to myself. I just don't think that probably happens at all, or very rarely anyway. So yeah,
I mean, I got a friend of mine I interviewed towards the beginning of season 2, Alex Kashifi. I don't know if you follow him on Instagram. He's up in the Lake District. He wears lunar sandals. He doesn't do shoes, all that sort of stuff.
Right, okay.
He's a big time sort of lover of the lakes and stuff. He once ran the E1 trail.
Wow, I want to do that. I'm to get in contact.
Yeah, so he's up there, and when I interviewed him, he and that was during lockdown 1, or was it? It might have been after we eased out lockdown, but he was saying exactly the same thing. You know, it's nice for to be able to enjoy lakes without being overcrowded with people. And I mean, obviously for him working in the tourist industry and catering and stuff like that, that's not a good side for him because obviously he needs that. But as a personal side of things, like you, it must be nice to have that I suppose it is a luxury really when you don't get it that often.
Yeah.
Because it's a beautiful part of the world. I mean, I've only been up there once on the way through. I went for a run around one of your lakes on the way up to Scotland, which I stopped off and went for my daily run. And it's stunning. So I would like to go up there a bit often.
I'd only been here twice as well before I moved up here.
that was twice more than what I did. But I'm glad everything, obviously going your way in regards to lockdown, which is nice to hear. And I think the majority of the guests I've had pretty much have the same sort of attitude or the same sort of brain thoughts or whatever you want to call it.
Well, I think a lot of runners are quite good with their own company, aren't they? Particularly,
especially the endurance, because you're used to being pretty much by yourself for a long period of time, training by yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right there. So let's give a little insight to the listeners and the viewers of who you are. Can you tell everyone who you are, what you do, and where you're from?
I hate these kinds of questions. Well, I'm Toby. I live in the Lake District, which we've already established. I've got 3 dogs. One of them's 3-legged. And I run a lot.
Are you still training to be, because obviously I heard you on Gary's podcast, are you still training to be a PT and all that sort of stuff?
Oh yeah, I'm doing that. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I'm training to be a PT, and I'm trying to get up and running like a queer-friendly online run coach type service as well. So that's what I'm currently working on at the moment.
Excellent.
That makes me sound much more impressive than just what I said before, doesn't it?
That is what it's like. So obviously I've recently got to know you through Coach Gary House's Run Strong club group. Yeah. And he did a podcast with you last year, wasn't it? Yeah, last year. Yeah. I know we've only just turned 2021, so it doesn't feel like last year. And obviously I asked the question on there why people ran, because every person's pretty much got a story to why they run, various reasons. And yours is no less interesting than anyone else's. And it was very interesting to me. And the reason why I do this podcast, the name of the podcast is If My Feet Could Talk. And we all have stories we could tell. And maybe some people can learn from or help just by listening, which is one of the reasons why I've asked you to come on here. But I've got to know you over the last few months through social media, and we've got a bit in common. We like similar music, as we found out.
You do, yeah.
I used to have long hair like you. So, we love the outdoors, and we both had personal battles in our life.
Yes, yeah.
So I'd like to go back a bit, though, Toby, if I may. And what were you like as a child? Were you a happy-go-lucky kid growing up? Were you sporty?
I don't know if you. I wasn't not sporty, so I wasn't like a non-sporty kid. But I wasn't particularly sporty, like when it came to school sports. Like I wasn't really sort of school sporty. My dad is really into skiing, so I did a lot of skiing.
Yeah.
So that's, I was out in the mountains quite a bit, so that's kind of what I would do. And as a kid, I was all right. I wasn't that happy. When I was sort of around 12, I just sort of, well, probably more like 10, 11, I just sort of got progressively more and more miserable.
So you mentioned your dad there into skiing in the mountains. Do you think subconsciously that's now where your love for the coldness and the mountains of the Lake District has come from?
Yeah, well, so we, my family and my mum's mum and dad, when I was born, they all dropped everything and bought like a disused old people's home in the French Alps and converted it into a small little hotel. Nothing huge. It was like 15 bedrooms, and we all moved out there. And I lived there till I was about 5. But various members of my family were running it at various times of my life, right through till I was in my 20s. So I spent a lot of time out there, and they're some of the happiest memories of my life.
Have you been back there since?
I haven't been back for quite a few years because I haven't had money to go there. It's expensive, isn't it? That around there. Oi, dogs. They're playing. Right. So no, I haven't. I've been out there once or twice in the last 10 years, but I'm trying really hard to sort of get to a point where I can go live out there again, because that's really where I want to be, is in the big mountains. Yeah.
So obviously time moves on and you started to find a love and interest in running. How old were you, and how was it the first time you put your trainers on and started to get out the door?
Very, very first time I had to run
Yeah.
was at school. I had to do a cross country, and I fucking hated it. It's
I
awful.
I hated cross country.
So bad.
Yeah.
So bad. Honestly, I think I would have rather have died. So if you'd have said to me then that I'd end up like being really into running, I just wouldn't have believed you.
I'm exactly the same. I've been put off cross country for life by my school.
Yeah.
That was every winter. That was it. Cross country. Yeah, I hated it. I still do.
I remember when I was in my teens, and at school we had to do every week. We had to pick like Navy, Army, RAF, and we had to do that. And I remember like we were having to like run through the woods, like teams of 4 or 6 or whatever, just lugging a log with us. And I hated it. It was awful.
You obviously chose the Navy, yeah?
Yeah, I only chose it because I was told it was the easiest one.
Yeah, it is.
But in hindsight, I wish I'd have chosen the Army, because they looked like they had a lot more fun, really.
Oh dear.
It was a bad mistake. I went for what I thought was the easy route, and I was just bored shitless.
Yeah. So obviously moving forwards, then when you out of school and you're a bit older, when did you find running?
So when I was I think I was probably about 17, 18, I started running. My mum, I believe, was a personal trainer at the time. Either that, she was doing a degree in sports therapy. I can't remember, but she was into running. And my dad ran as well.
Yeah.
But nothing major. And I just kind of did running. I don't remember thinking, I'm going to start running now. It's just kind of something I kind of started doing.
Yeah.
Nothing massive. I think I was just running, like, plodding about around the block for an hour a few times a week. And I got really, really into it. But I had a lot of issues at the time, and I carried on doing it when I went to uni. But I got quite obsessive, and I wasn't eating either. Had quite bad eating disorder problems as well.
But when you first started and you started going for an hour, how did you find it?
I can't remember. It was just kind of something I was doing, but I think I remember. I must have enjoyed it, because I kept going. Yeah. I kept doing it. It wasn't anything like off road particularly. No. It was around sort of the lanes and that.
And whereabouts were you at this point in the world? Where?
In Hertfordshire at the time.
In Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
And what's that like to run around? Is it flat? Hilly?
Yeah.
Flat.
Yeah.
So why did you stop? What stopped you from?
I was kind of forced into stopping, really. When I was 19 and I was at uni for the second time around. I was trying I've been to uni quite a few times and failed. I have managed to get a degree in the end, but yeah.
What were you studying at the time?
Well, the first time I went to university, I did veterinary science.
All right.
But I dropped out because I wasn't okay. And then I tried again to do equine science and business management in Gloucester. So I was living in Gloucestershire, and that's where I basically had my breakdown.
Right.
And I went to the doctors there actually, and then I went to the doctors back at home. I said, Mum, I came back, I said, Mum, I need some help. I was self-harming, and I wasn't eating, and I was hearing voices, and I was really paranoid. I was not coping anymore.
Do you know what was setting all this off? Was there a trigger or anything?
Well, in hindsight, it was, I think when you're trying to be someone you're not, that will eventually send you batshit crazy. Yeah. And that's it in a nutshell. Yeah.
So this is linked with, obviously, you weren't content with who you are within yourself, and you were trapped in another person's body, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. And and not just gender. I think in every other aspect, I was just doing exactly what I thought I should do and what I thought people wanted me to do.
Yeah.
And I just ended up losing it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was the first thing that you did that you sort of went, something ain't right here. I need to, that's not me. I shouldn't be doing this.
I wasn't eating at all, and I was still exercising quite a lot. I was swimming and running and doing exercise classes at the time. This was in Gloucestershire, and I collapsed a couple of times. And I remember thinking to myself, I need to start eating. This is really bad. Like I was really thin.
Yeah.
And I remember trying to eat a bowl of soup, and I was just absolutely terrified of it. And at that point, I thought, okay, probably need some help. And I was also hallucinating as well and hearing voices, and it was scary and self-harming. And I just wasn't all right. And I just went back home. I said, I need some help. And I carried on running when I got home. And my mum encouraged me to enter the Great North Run, which I did. This was while I was waiting for a referral from the GP to a psychiatrist. And then I went to see the psychiatrist, and everything just went shit up a creek for the next 5 years.
So obviously you said you spoke to your mum about it, and she gave you some form of assistance.
Yeah.
How did it affect your family relationship once all this started?
I should imagine. Well, I know that they found it really difficult to watch. They watched me deteriorate more and more over the course of 5 years, and
yeah,
it must have been absolutely harrowing for them. Yeah.
And how's your relationship now in comparison?
It's good. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
that's nice. It's nice to hear that, although you may have torn them apart, obviously not on purpose, that you're able to still have some form of relationship with your family, regardless of what obviously led up to where you are now. So what was the deal with it? Your psychosis, was it? Is that right?
Yeah, I got so many diagnoses, and to be honest, I kind of take a position now where I think that they're all a load of nonsense. I know lots of people find them very helpful, but I didn't, and I was put on some really heavy drugs, so many drugs, antipsychotics, antidepressants, mood stabilizers, and I was sort of drugged up to the eyeballs, and I put on a lot of weight. I had lots and lots of side effects. I was sleeping all the time. And I was just getting more and more and more crazy. Like these drugs were sort of, they were kind of, what they were trying to do is they were trying to make me easier for everyone else. But, I was still going through the same torture in my head. And I think I was sort of 16, 17 stone. I was big.
I fully understand
that
side of things, because obviously I was close to 20 stone.
Yeah.
My battles. But obviously everyone deals with mental health and other issues in their own way. Some obviously medical help. Some don't go down the medical route and try and solve it themselves. After you've realised medicine was rubbish, not working for you, how did you deal with what was going on?
So I moved up to Yorkshire. I basically did a run up north. There were some people up there that were sort of willing to facilitate me coming off all these drugs that I was on.
Yeah.
And I was on some pretty heavy ones. One of them, I had to have regular blood tests because it can kill you. That was kind of basically, it's considered an end of the road antipsychotic that you give treatment resistant schizophrenics, and generally the system sees once you're on this particular drug, they kind of see you as well, that's it now, you're just going to be in and out of the hospital for the rest of your life, and that's it. like, you know, you're so crazy that it's worth taking the risk that you might die with the drug. Like that, you know, that's how end of the road it was. And electroconvulsive therapy started getting thrown around as an option, which obviously I didn't want to go through. I'd known someone in hospital that had gone through that, and it was horrific to watch. So coming off these meds was, you know, it was no easy feat. You know, I'd stopped them lots of times over the course of 5 years, and I got what was called rebound psychosis, and I'd just go nuts because I'd just stop them all, and then all my hormones in my head would just go mental, and I'd end up getting sectioned again. So I had to come off them really, really slowly. I think over the course of probably a year.
How old were you at this point?
I think it was about 25.
Okay,
24, 25. And the minute I started coming off them, the weight just started dropping off, mostly because I wasn't sedated anymore. That was kind of the main thing. And I was in Yorkshire, and I was walking around. The family I was staying with had a dog. I walked the dog, and it was just sort of a really long process of trying to find ways to sort of deal with my shit, really. Which is not like, you know, it's not a 5-minute job, is it?
No, not at all. So when did you finally go through the transition and become Toby?
Well, so I came out when I was 29.
So 4 years later from that point.
Yeah, when I was 29, I came out as gender queer first. Just to sort of test the water a little bit.
Dip your toe in. Ooh.
Yeah, friends didn't freak out too much. So I was like, oh, I'm Toby. My family didn't take it so easily, but, you know, they just took a bit more time, but they're all right about it, I suppose, now.
I think considering all that they went through as well with you, it probably was quite a hard period in your family relationship, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously, you're in a better place for it now, Toby.
No one can deny that. You know, coming out and transitioning has made me 10 times happier. It can't be argued.
No, I don't think anyone should, especially if they spoke to you and heard your story, you know, they'd be wrong to. Obviously, there's lots of opinions on it, right or wrong. But for you and your story, no one should deny it, because you know, you're now talking to me about it, as in everything that you went through. And hopefully, if someone else is listening or watching this that may be in a similar situation, it may help them too.
I hope so. Otherwise, I'm just stroking my own ego and indulging in a bit of talking about myself.
Well, this is it. You know, it's like when I spoke to Claire in the last episode. You know, if we've saved one life by talking about it, then that can only be a good thing.
I don't even need to save a life, just someone listening and going, oh yeah, I relate to that. That'll do me.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where the more we talk, hopefully someone may click on, get help or what have you, and we can only be a good thing. So obviously all this has happened. When did you start lacing up those trainers again, and start that thing we call running?
When I was in Cornwall.
Yeah. All right. So obviously I know why you were in Cornwall. You went to Falmouth College of Arts, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Right. Yes. So now, before you slate Falmouth and Cornwall, did you go to any of the clubs like Club Iron, Shardays?
Oh no! By the time I got to Cornwall, I was old and boring. They didn't do any of that. Yeah.
So what did you do down there?
I did the same. You know, I just kept walking my dogs.
Yeah.
I had one dog, Maya, at the time. I did photography, so I was just taking a lot of photos, and I was drinking a lot though. I was drinking an awful lot, but I was drinking on my own.
All right.
Yeah. So I I think after the first or second year, or somewhere in the second year, I think I was, when I thought, okay, I need to sort of sort my lifestyle out, because I'd started putting on quite a bit of weight again. I wasn't huge, but I was overweight.
Yeah.
And I wasn't healthy. And I was into hiking at the time, and it was affecting hiking. It was affecting me being able to go out walking and stuff. And so I got rid of my car and got a bike instead, an electric bike, because I was too unfit to ride an actual push bike. So
and it's not flat down Cornwall.
Yeah, and I got an e-bike, and realised I wasn't really into e-biking at all, or cycling really. My world got really small because I didn't have a car.
You couldn't travel,
and I wanted to get to the places that I would normally maybe pop in a car and drive to.
And the buses don't come that often down there.
Yeah, it's like, to get somewhere like this, a sort of a 20-minute drive away, it was like a 3-hour worth of buses, like it's just, it wasn't, you had to go all the way into Falmouth and it's come all the way out, and so I thought, well, if I ran there, I could get there in a couple of hours, and I've got time to do that, because obviously you need to do, so I couldn't just be out all day. So I was trying to get places quicker, and I started running. When I say I started running, I just started running down hills on my walks. And at some point I did a couch to 5K, which I couldn't do on the roads because my knees hurt, because I was too overweight and too unfit. So I then did it on the treadmill at the university. And then I did the couch to 5K program, and then I entered my first trail marathon in South Devon, the Endurance Life.
Oh yeah, I know the ones. Yeah. How was that? How did that go for you?
Well, I was so excited by it all that I completely forgot to eat or drink for like the first half, and I was just charging along, and I crashed. I don't know how, about halfway through, really badly. Obviously I was not as fit as I am now as well.
What was the weather like, being a cold fan?
I think it was in February. I don't think it was wet actually. I think it was actually quite a dry day, I think.
Quite mild.
Yeah, but and I remember the last bit was just all bog, and now I have no trouble with bog at all, but at the time I just didn't have the strength to deal with bog at all.
It's quite zapping, isn't it? People don't realize how energy zapping bog hopping can be when you're not used to it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't struggle with it at all now, obviously, because I spend a lot of time in bog. So it doesn't, but at the time, when I was sort of a relatively new runner, and I was just absolutely finished, like I could barely move. So I crawled over that finish line, but like 8 hours later.
To be honest, that's not a bad time in those conditions.
I was so proud of myself.
I'm proud of you. Let's just say that. People don't realize how hard trail marathons can be, and especially if you're a beginner to it. It's not easy even for the seasoned runners, because you end up pushing yourself harder, and the trains are never the same. You could run the same trail the next day, and it could be completely bone dry, or it could be completely boggy or weather. And on the coastal paths, as you know, down there, it's either stunning or it's brutal.
So that was, and after I'd done that, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, I want to do more of this. And then I decided to enter an ultra marathon. I think it was a year later, I think.
So you found the love for running, and we can now probably call it a love more than just an interest. Do you think it plays a major part in your mindset, your self-medication, and just your general living now? Do you think it plays quite a big part in that?
Yeah, my life revolves basically around running. Yeah.
Because it saved my life. in a big way. I know for a fact probably if I would I still be here probably, but I wouldn't be anywhere near the type of person I am now if I hadn't started that couch to marathon program as I did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you want the person that's competitive with others. As we had a brief talk about this when we were going through what I was going to ask you, and I heard you on Gary's podcast about this. You're not really competitive with, I've got to beat that guy, or I can't believe I let him beat me. But you are with yourself. You like to beat yourself up a bit about your own performance, aren't you? You're one that likes to chase.
When I do a shit job, which is quite regularly. But no, I'll be honest though, wouldn't say I beat myself up for a really long time. I do beat myself up and get really pissed off with myself, but I'm really good. One of my biggest skills is just picking myself up and dusting myself off and going, right, I'll learn from that and do better. Like I fail a lot. Yeah. And I sort of think either I'm going to be one of those people that, does well and then can say, I failed loads. You just got to keep going, or I'm just going to be someone that's just going to keep failing for the rest of my life. Either way, it doesn't matter because I'm enjoying myself.
Are you making new mistakes, or are you constantly learning from?
I tend to make new mistakes. I don't tend to. I'm very good at learning from my mistakes. Which
is to me is not a failure if you can do that. If you can learn from what if you have a DNF as an example in a race, if you can learn from that and not make the same mistake time after time.
I think people his failure is really charged for people. There's a lot of judgment on failure, and I think it's all right to fail.
I mean, I spoke to Dan Lawson on here. It's a good friend of mine, and he's learned more from his DNFs than he would do from winning a race because everything's gone right.
Yeah, I had more fun in the times I fucked up and DNF'd and than I had when I completed stuff.
Yeah.
Because that went all right, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's what.
Yeah. Normally, it's because we're having too much fun. We fuck up.
Yeah.
Instead of concentrating on what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So, what sort of events have you raced? I know you're not a big eventee.
Not many. Yeah.
No, but what sort? Obviously, we mentioned you've done a coastal marathon and then you did your first ultra. What sort of events have you done? Apart from
I've literally only done about four, and I've run like ultras on my own.
Yeah.
So before I joined with Gary, I'd done a few sort of small ultras just because I wanted to. I just sort of went out running, like it wasn't like an event.
Yeah.
But yeah, the official ultras, I've actually only managed to finish one of them. I think I've done 3. Yeah. And I only finished one of them.
Which one was that one?
Calderdale Way Ultramarathon, which was shit. I don't think it's a thing anymore. I don't think that.
Where was that?
West Yorkshire.
All right.
Yeah, it was great. So it was where I used to live. So I was really familiar with the route. The sort of the first half, but the second half was pretty much like there was a huge amount of tarmac in the middle, and it was shit. Yeah, that was shit. But the first half was great, and obviously I knew it very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the other one I did was Grand Tour Skidoo, which I DNF'd because I'd fallen over at work. At the time, I was running with dogs for a living, and I'd fallen over and fucked my shoulder up, which was causing me to. It had sort of changed my gait.
Yeah.
So I'd kept working and kept running because if I wasn't doing, I wouldn't be earning any money. So by the time I got to the ultra, I was on the wonk.
Yeah, you overcompensated.
Yeah, and halfway through, my knee went. Oof. And I had to pull out, and I was out of action for a couple of months really.
Would you do that one again? Would you give that one a go again?
No, I wasn't that into that either. You know, I was a bit disappointed with it, to be honest. It was going really well in that sense. If that hadn't happened, it was going. I would have been really pleased with my performance. But it was kind of like it was all very waymarked, and I that was disappointing. I quite like navigating, and I didn't really like how it was sort of all.
So, are you
a
map and compass type of guy now? Are you?
Yeah, I like. Yeah, part of the fun for me is plotting a route, and going out and doing that route. Yeah,
because you're currently, well, I say currently, but you are sort of running a lot of the rain whites round on you and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've done it almost half of them, and I did the first half really very quickly. But because obviously the second half, you know, involves driving quite a bit, you know, to get down to the bottom half of them, so it has ground to a halt. To be honest,
not fancy just like backpacking the whole, fast packing the whole lot in a one-hour.
Well, maybe one day, yeah, maybe one day I might be really nuts and try and do 214 in one go, yeah. But I'm definitely not good enough, even close to good enough to even be contemplating that yet. But yeah, no, I would if I was good enough, that would be the kind of thing I'd do. Yeah.
Awesome. So what plans have you got for the future in your running?
Well, I really want to do a Bob Graham round.
Yeah.
I want to do a winter Bob Graham round. I don't think that's going to happen this year now. So because of lockdown and dog care, and I just don't think it's going to happen. I want to do an Abraham's tea round with my dog Jet, which I'm quite excited about. But again, that was supposed to be sort of happening kind of now, and it's not because lockdown.
Yeah.
I want to do Land's End to John O'Groats. I'd really, really, really like to run the length of the E1 one day.
So definitely hook up with Alex, because he's done both.
You'll have to put me in touch.
Yeah, he did Land's End to John O'Groats, the longer way via trail, barefoot.
Yeah, that's what I want to do on trails. Yeah.
So and obviously he ran the entire length of E1. Although he didn't finish in Italy, he went all the way down to the bottom of Spain, which is the actual furthest south of Europe.
Right.
But he pretty much ran the entire length of the E1. There's a really good film out, documentary, recorded by one of our French buddies. Who he recorded it on his way down, and then our French mate put it all together and put it on YouTube. I'll send you the link to it.
It'd be great, yeah, because I really struggled finding people that have sort of done it all in one go.
Yeah, I'll send you his handle as well, so you can touch base with him, because he is so down to earth. He's fantastic, and he'll give you lots of hints and tips and all that sort of stuff.
It's a long way off before I tackle anything like that. But
you know,
I've got to have at least 2 less dogs for a start.
But it doesn't matter how far away if you know, big things like that, you need to sort of start getting the plans in route and finding people and laying down the foundation, don't you?
Start getting some experience in running things, sort of, you know, multi-days and sort of getting to grips with that. So yeah, Gary will be pleased.
Yeah, gotta keep Gary happy.
Yeah. He must roll his eyes when he sees what I want to do.
Yeah, well, you know, that's Gary, isn't it? He just likes playing around in the snow. He says he prefers running in the sun and stuff, but you see him up there, he's loving the snow.
Yeah, he loves it really.
Topless, all that sort of stuff. Now, as I said, I got to know you through social media a lot over the last few months, and your Insta is full of stunning photographs. And it does make me jealous, all right, when I see a photograph. I mean, I think, you know, my photographs come out all right sometimes, but yours are on a different level. What is it about just taking pictures of while you're out on a run? Because you are running when you do it. You know, you're not like just driven your car and taking a picture. What is it about going on a run and then taking the type of picture that you take? What's it about?
there's no real sort of deep and meaningful thing behind it. I just, whenever I see something and I just think, fuck me, like, I can't believe I live here, or Jesus Christ, like, you know, I'm alive, or anything like that, you know.
Yeah.
I just think I've got to get that. Yeah.
So do you use your social platform as a way of keeping a photo album of memories?
Yeah, it's a photo album, really. If people like it, that's great. But yeah, it's mostly just because I just like taking photos of the things I see, which there's, you know, it's lots of amazing stuff I see on a daily basis, and I'm, you know.
Yeah, I like it because obviously I've got Dartmoor on my doorstep, which is not like, it's not like the lakes where you got peaks of mountains. Yeah, we've got, you know, big tors and stuff, but it's not.
There's big. There's a hill called Brown Willie.
Oh yeah, that's a Bodmin Moor.
Oh, is that Bodmin Moor?
That's
right?
Bodmin Moor, but it's very similar.
Yeah.
But obviously we've got views and stuff like that, but you've got a different set of views, and because I can't travel there, it's nice to see what you see through your eyes.
Sometimes I do my head in and I think, I'm going to stop posting, because it's just, people must just sometimes think, fuck off and stop floating.
I think they think that more about my photos than yours, mate. you give a different perspective into running. You know
I try really hard to not take photos that are just a straightforward, perfectly shot, perfectly framed picture of a view. There's so many fantastic photographers doing that with proper cameras, and I'm only taking photos in an iPhone, so you know it allows me to think a bit more about, you know, capturing a mood rather than a view.
And is it capturing your mood as well, do you think? Not just the mood of where you are, what, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The pictures definitely say something about my mood as well. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Right. So moving on, we'll do 10 quick fire questions. All right. So I'll ask a question. You try and give a short answer. It doesn't matter if you don't worry about it. So we often go on tangents during this point, so it's not a problem. But we'll see what we go. So first one, what's your favorite snack on the run? When you go on your long runs, what do you like to nibble
on? Well, I suppose mostly nothing, because that's cheaper. A banana, and sometimes I use Mountain Fuel bars, but I only use those when I'm being serious. They're expensive. Bananas, or nothing. Gary wouldn't be too pleased with me. I often go out on long runs with no food at all, because it costs less.
Have you been following Eddie Izzard and her current 31 marathons, 31 days on the treadmill?
Have briefly, yeah. I saw an article somewhere where it said that she sort of has views that she agrees with what's that Harry Potter author? I can't believe I've forgotten her.
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling, who's a massive transphobe. Eddie Izzard sort of expressed some alliance with her, and I thought, you've really gone down in my estimations there. That was really disappointing, because before that moment I thought she was great. I
think it's just like I said earlier, to you yesterday, it's a strange world we live in. You know, we got, like I said, we go off on a tangent here. We've got people that try and defend a group of people that don't need defending. you got people who are too scared to make a mistake by using the wrong pronouns or stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, she did come up with a good point the other day about pronouns, saying that a fucking tiger doesn't matter what they're known as. It's a fucking tiger. You know what I mean? So we shouldn't be scared of accidentally making a mistake. It is.
I don't. I agree that people. I don't like that people feel scared about making a mistake with pronouns, and anyone I think that is biting someone's head off for making an honest mistake is.
But it's normally the people that are defending that group of people. You see what I mean? They don't. You don't.
The problem. I think the problem that Eddie Izzard potentially has is that she's got a lot of privilege, I think. I don't so she needs to be careful of that, I think, when talking about issues, because there's a lot, I think, of things that a lot of trans people face that perhaps she doesn't, but particularly trans women. Trans men have an easier ride of it. Like, we can pretty much just slip under the radar when we want. Trans women have a harder time, so it's easy to forget what ways it's harder for some people, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Coming back onto where we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So we go off on tangents. Favorite drink, alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
Oh, yeah. So non-alcoholic. The beginning of this year, I decided that I was done with alcohol forever. Don't ever want to drink it anymore.
Excellent.
Last year, for a few years, I've barely drunk any alcohol, like, you know, high days and holidays. And I suddenly realised that because I don't drink very often, when I do drink, it just knocks me for six for weeks, and it's just fucking pointless now.
You're just fucking lightweight. That's all it is.
Basically, I'm done with it. Yeah. It's cheaper as well.
Well, it is. Yeah. Very,
you know,
right.
I do like the taste of alcohol, and you know, I will.
What was your favorite drink?
Whiskey. I like whiskey. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Strong. That's a oh, yes. Okay, so what's your favorite non-alcoholic?
Oh, I don't think
tea?
I really. Yeah, tea probably. Yeah.
Okay. Now this might, obviously, luckily your dogs might not understand this one. Which is your favorite dog?
Oh, Maya. Yeah.
Is it?
She knows that. Yeah. Because she's
Okay.
three-legged. She's had the toughest time. Yeah.
Oh, bless. Marmite, yes or no?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite bit of kit that you like to take you on your long runs and stuff? Is there something that a buff, or you know, you like to wear? I know your favorite pants backwards or something. Do you have a favorite bit of kit you always like to take?
No, I don't think I do. I mean, I guess I always have a buff on. Yeah, I do always have a buff. Yeah.
Because they're multi-use. That, you know, you can wipe your
They
ass
are,
with it.
yeah.
You can
I usually
do all
have a
sorts.
buff on my neck, and then I have one in my bag, and then
usually
one on my head as well.
As you're a fan of the cold,
yeah,
would you do the North Pole Marathon? Obviously,
I'd love to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had all the money and I didn't care about the environment and was okay with sort of getting on a plane and melting the glaciers to do it, yeah, I'd be there in a second. That and the Yukon Arctic Ultra.
Oh yeah, I know one. Yeah,
I'd love to do that as well. Yeah, but I doubt I'd ever do anything like that. Yeah.
Right. Obviously, you do a lot of trail running up in the hills. Are you doing any road running at all?
Yeah, I do quite a few sessions on the road. Yeah, speed sessions and moderates. Yeah, I do quite a bit on the road. Yeah, I used to be really anti-road running, and then I got over myself and realised, you know,
it has its place, doesn't it?
Yeah, there are some runs that call for it. Yeah.
Okay, which is better, Cornwall or Devon?
I'll go with Devon because I definitely don't like Cornwall.
Wow. Did it hurt you that badly?
I don't think it was Cornwall's fault. It wasn't Cornwall's fault. It wasn't Cornwall particularly. It was a bit backwards to be trans there, to be fair. It wasn't great being trans there. But it's mostly just, I just don't really like the whole sea beach vibe. I was never going to be that into it. That's not really my scene. So it's not personal to Cornwall. I probably
got some views, mind, hasn't it? Your photos. It's got some views. You got to admit that.
Yeah, I'd probably hate Devon just as much as if I lived there as well.
Yeah, probably. Okay. Last question: pineapple on a pizza? Yes or no?
No.
Oof.
Yeah.
Controversial. So, heading into the last bit of this podcast now. So, we've had a lot of beginners over the last year or so, thanks to lockdown, starting their running. What would your advice be to the beginners getting out there, lacing their shoes?
Just I just come out with really cheesy shit. And
That's nothing wrong with cheesy shit. Sometimes it's the best shit.
You know, it seems like just do it, you know, that kind of crap. But there's something to be said for just, you know, you can be really scared about something and not want to do it, but you've just got to, you know, you've just got to start wherever you are and just start going, you know. Yeah, and try not to listen to the influencers too much on Instagram, because most of the time they're full of shit. Yeah. Don't get a foam roller.
Yeah, they're out in freaking Dubai, bloody sunning it up and shit.
Yeah.
How hard is it? Oh god.
Yeah. Don't overthink it. It's not running is not that complicated. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's only us that make it complicated.
Yeah.
So if people want to obviously check out your pictures and follow you doing your wild swims and your runs with your dogs, and watch your little on the wheels, I find that that's amazing. How can they find you on Instagram?
I believe I am the transgender trail runner, transgender_trail_runner. I think I should probably know that.
That's right. I'll stick the links in the description below anyway, so people can find you. That's great. Thank you, Toby, for coming on to this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Like I said earlier, if someone's listening and they can relate, and we've sort of can signpost them, surely it's only a good thing us talking. And I am loving your adventures at the moment on social media.
That's good, because I am
don't
too.
stop. All right, keep posting regardless what you think anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for me.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind.
Yeah. Well, I get people telling me that they love my stories, and I think what I do is Chad. But people love the soundtracks that I put on. People love seeing where I'm running because they feel like they're running with me. So if it makes people happy,
there's always someone out there that likes your content, isn't there? I think it's mostly sometimes I just do my own head in.
Well, don't do it in too much, all right? I really appreciate your time coming on the podcast. We'll have a chat after I finish, but for now, thank you very much, Toby.
Thank you.
So that was Toby, such a wonderful, inspirational person that I've got to go and know through social media, who I'm looking forward to meet in person hopefully in the near future, once all this COVID is sorted out. Please go check out his amazing Instagram. I've dropped the link in the description below. His photos are spectacular. And I hope you enjoyed listening and viewing this as much as I have making it. Please share the love on the various apps, podcast apps, and on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time on If My Feet Could Talk, I'm the Ultra Matt Lowe. Where's your feet taking you today?